What's up, guys? In today's video, I was finally able to find the Batman Begins Batman figure. I ended up getting this figure at GameStop for a decently priced for $24.99. After tax ended up being $26. Usually when you get these at Target or Walmart, they're around $22. So it is a slight tax, but not too bad for a figure that seems to be a little bit difficult to get. This figure does come with a slight flaw that I saw. Now this only had one copy, and from what I could tell, he does have a little bit of a smudge here on the torso piece, which hopefully it'll come off and I'll check it out later in this video. They only had one copy, so I was stuck with getting this one. I did end up finding the Scarecrow figure at Target, and it is that hard to find one. The red label I did see at GameStop, at a different GameStop than when I got this one, that they had like 3 of that same Scarecrow figure. So I'm not sure how rare or how hard it'll be to find that one. So let's go ahead and check out the box. Just a basic Batman, DC Multiverse box. You guys got his grappler right there, Batarang, 2 hands, which is pretty good. And on the back of the box, you have that iconic Batman Begins logo, which is pretty nice in my opinion. So let's go ahead and unbox this, look at the tray shot, and let's look at the accessories first. So here we have the Batman data file card. Pretty decent card. You guys can see the same logo as the back of the box. And then the back of the card, you guys can see the data file information right there. Really basic. You guys seen this all so many times. And then we do have a basic matte finish stand right there. Really nothing too crazy. As far as accessories, we do have a lot of the same accessories that also comes in the other Dark Knight version of Batman. I'm pretty sure it's the same mold, just different color. And then here we do have that Batman with the fist right there. And it does have 3 batarangs. Now the proportion seems to be slightly different. I'm not really sure. It just sucks that the comparing to this one is so much larger, as you guys can see right there. Overall, not a bad addition as a hand sculpt right here. And then as far as this fist, is basically the same like the other one. He does seem to have like a bomb or just something in his hand, as you guys can see. Really nothing too crazy right there. And for the grappler, I feel like this is the exact same one, same mold. I'll probably do a comparison video probably later, but you guys can see it is molded pretty nice. It's pretty firm. It's not all flimsy like some of the other McFarlane accessories. That gold touch to it makes it look nice. Pretty shiny as well. This Batarang has the same effect as grappler. You guys can see the nice shiny gold. Pretty decent sculpt as well. Not too flimsy, pretty firm for the most part. Overall, these are great accessories to have for a Batman figure, even though they could be the same from the Dark Knight Rises figure. Overall, cannot complain. So let's go ahead and go into the figure. So here you guys have it, the Christian Bale Batman Begins figure. Definitely a nice Batman to have right before McFarlane loses the license for DC Multiverse, or at least as far as we know. Now we know that the cowl is very similar to the Dark Knight version, but overall really not too bad. I know I've seen other reviews where they complain that it's not accurate because he could turn his neck right here, but overall that's something that you would really want your figure to be able to do, is turn his neck around. Now let's go see how much he can turn. So he could do a 360 as well. As you guys can see, that the actual plastic is kind of like a matte black finish. Now the only thing that does suck with matte black, it can scuff up just a little bit here and there, but overall you guys can see that the light creates a nice shadow to this figure, so it'll definitely be pretty nice in your display case. Now you guys can see that I do have some scuffs right here just from taking it out the packaging. Now the torso did have some kind of glue right there, as you guys can see. I'm not sure exactly what is going on with this figure. I'm gonna try to maybe get some alcohol or acetone to see if I can remove that little bit of glue right there. And like I said, they only had this figure when I went to GameStop, so I didn't need to get it, but I really wanted it. I don't really like paying resale for figures, but overall it's not that bad. I mean, it is slightly disappointing, but you're not going to be able to see that anyways. But also what's really good about this figure is that it is a cloth like cape. Now this one feels very polyester, pretty firm. It's not like silky smooth like some of the other Batman cape figures. It feels very cheap, but it does feel kind of firm, so I guess that's pretty good because this cape does have a unique style to it in the movie, and it being wired is very helpful. Now usually the wiredness in the cape isn't really as crazy strong as other figures, but overall it's really not too bad. You guys can see right here, and it has a nice gloss to it. I think the gloss of the cape and the matte finish of the figure. It really makes it stand out a lot. You guys can see the detail of the cape. You guys can do so much different poses here with this version of Batman. Besides it being fully matte black, you guys can see the utility belt just sticks out that bronze goldish color, similar to the Batarang and the other accessories that comes with this figure. Now the gauntlets right here is like a semi-gloss paint, as well as the boots right there. You guys can see has a nice shine to it. And I'm not sure if that's accurate to the version of Batman in the movie, but for me, I think it looks pretty good in all honesty. When I look at this figure, I could tell that this is the Batman Begins version. Definitely pretty smooth in my opinion. You guys can see on the back, the cowl has a nice little point right here. Definitely pretty nice. And even on the back has some decent detail as well. You guys can see how thick the belt is from the back. Pretty nice. Got some sculpting here. And it does have some of the writing or trademark information here on the back. Overall, it's pretty good. We're going to go look at articulation here next. But I really have no complaints so far getting this figure right out the box and checking out this like cloth-like cape. So let's go ahead and look at articulation, because that's usually the most important thing for any Batman figure. You guys can tell that he is double jointed elbows right here, which is actually a must for any Batman figure. And also for the knees, you kind of want double jointed knees. Now he doesn't touch his rear end all that much, but it's still pretty decent. Now this one doesn't have thigh swivel. Now I'm not sure exactly why, but it would have been nice if this had thigh swivel, but it is what it is. It kind of like hinders it just a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and see if he has the calf swivel. No calf swivel, which kind of sucks. It is pinned as well, which I'm not sure how often they do pinless. He does have the toe articulation right there. Then we're going to go ahead and stretch the leg. So the leg can only go this far out. Now I don't want to stretch it too much or stress it, because I don't want to scratch the plastic. He does have that diaper style, like, you know, under part, I guess, which does hinder the figure a lot. Now I'm not sure why they went with the design, maybe to make it look more accurate, but you know, it's pretty decent, I guess, for what it is. And he can swivel somewhat on the abdomen right there, do a 360. Now on the abs he kind of can, but I don't want to force it because I don't want to break it. So we're going to go ahead and look at the ab crunch. He can't really go forward all that much. It's kind of weird. Like, yeah, he goes forward like barely anything at all. He looks down fairly decently, but he doesn't crouch down at all. So I don't know, for articulation that kind of does suck, because you kind of want your Batman figure to be slightly articulated in that aspect. He can go back pretty far back, so that's also good. And let's see the rotation. So it can rotate fully, which is actually good. Now that armor shoulder piece is attached on the back. It's kind of like glued in there, which is actually pretty cool. Now I feel like if the Stormtroopers for Black Series did this, I guess it will probably fix that articulation issue that it has. But overall, you know, for this figure is actually pretty good. It does have butterfly joints, as you guys can tell. Now it doesn't want to really move all that much. It's not as excessive as other Batman figures. I think it could be just because it's a little stiff, but the butterfly joints is there, but really not much usability as of right now. Probably just got to play with it just a little bit, but overall that type of articulation isn't really too bad. I really want to compare this one to the Arkham Knight and maybe the Batman versus Superman version of Batman, just to see the articulation and the difference in style and just accuracy of both or those three versions of Batman. Overall, really not a bad figure. So we're going to go ahead and add some of the accessories and change his hands right here, just to see what this version of Batman looks with those accessories on. Adding the accessories really isn't all that difficult, to be honest. Now, the only thing that kind of does suck that I didn't even realize is that this hand right here, the left hand, is a fist, which is okay. You know, it's okay to have that. But the other hand is also a fist, and it does have like the little smoke bomb or whatever in his hand. So you basically have two fists, and to be honest, you can't really tell them apart all that much. Looking closely, you kind of can, but from far away, you really can't. It would have been nice if this was a right hand instead of two left hand fists. What really does suck is that this makes this accessory basically useless. I really don't have a need to use this. And for the right hand, he does have the batarangs right here, which is actually pretty decent. I think it looks pretty okay. It looks fairly accurate. You guys can see how that looks. So we're gonna have to change the hands in order to put the batarang and then the other grappler in his right hand. Adding the grappler to the hand is pretty easy, really nothing too crazy, looks fairly accurate for the most part. Now I did forget to mention how the peg system works here on the wrist. It is on a little peg system, goes forward or up and down. Really don't like that. It can rotate it, of course, 360. But I don't know, I really don't like the way the peg looks. It looks very small and looks fairly fragile and breakable, and it comes out pretty quick. You would think it would have a little bit of firmness to it, but it really doesn't. I'm not going to be changing the hands all that much just for that specific reason alone. When it comes to the batarang, there's really not much possibility you could do with the batarang because you don't really want to warp it or bend it all that much. So this is basically what you're going to be able to do when it comes to the batarang. Overall, it's fairly decent for what it is. It's a good, decent accessory. Now, if I had to really display my Batman, I would probably end up using the other hand maybe. I'm not sure because most of my Batmans, I usually just have the fist or the closed open hands. So this one right here would be a nice addition, I guess, just to add to this version of Batman. Overall, like, accessories for this, I would give it a better rating because of what it is. But considering that it's only for one hand does make it kind of weird. Now, I don't want to grab other Batman figures just to make this more usable. So I'll definitely give the accessories, if I had to rate it, like a solid 7 out of 10. I'm not really too liking that the way it is and having two fists. When it comes to accuracy of the Dark Knight right here, I definitely give this a solid 7.5 out of 10. It definitely does make the mark. It is that matte finish. Everything of it looks pretty good. Would have been nice if we would have had a different head sculpt though, because you guys can tell that this one is the Dark Knight Rises cowl right here. But when it comes to accuracy, I guess a 7.5 is fairly decent for this figure. Looks really iconic. Looks really good. Definitely like the figure overall. When it comes to the actual articulation, I'm not sure. I mean, I would have liked thigh swivel and then the calf swivel on this Batman and a good front articulation as far as like the calf and the butterfly joints. You could probably work with that. It's probably just a little stiff in all honesty. When it comes to articulation, I definitely give this a 7 out of 10. You know, really not the best, really not what I expect for a Batman figure. I'm sure once I do a better comparison video, you guys will be able to tell what I'm talking about. But overall, I definitely give that a 7 out of 10. When it comes to the overall figure, accessories, articulation, accuracy, the presentation of the box, I definitely give this figure a decent 7.5 out of 10. I definitely recommend getting this figure if you're able to get it at a decent price point. Now, I ended up getting this at GameStop. Like I said, after tax was about $26. It is a little bit steep. If you're able to get this at Target for $22, I'll definitely go with that. I don't think the figure will go on sale because it is a sought-after figure, especially with McFarlane possibly losing the license for DC Multiverse. But I definitely consider this figure as a pickup, and I think you guys should get it, but just wouldn't pay too much over resale. I try not getting any figures over resale prices or just getting them on eBay unless I really need them. But most of the time, if I just get them in the store, I'll just get them in the store. But definitely a nice figure to add to the collection. I'll be doing a review on that Scarecrow and then putting these side by side so you guys can see what they look like. But you comment down below, what do you think of the Batman Begins figure? And will you guys be picking this one up from McFarlane before he loses his license to DC Multiverse? And I'll see you guys in the next video.